exploring Gen AI capabilities from a business growth perspective. Please join me in welcoming the moderator for this session, Samir Shah, Managing Director, Advisory, PwC. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Shah as he joins us on stage. I do realize it's early morning, still a little bit early in the day, but let's make some noise and welcome our moderator to the stage, ladies and gentlemen. And I'd like to invite our panelists to the stage. Amol Deshpande, Group CDO and Head of Innovation, RPG Group. Welcome, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and make some noise. Keep that applause coming for Ashish, Khushu, CTO, L&T Technology Services, and Hitesh, Sachdev, Head Startup Engagement and Investments, ICICI Bank. Let's give them a warm welcome to the stage. Sir, Mr. Shah, I request you, sir, if you could exchange chairs. We'd like the moderator to be on this side. Sorry, sir. If you sit on this side, Mr. Shah. The moderator, thank you, sir. So handing it over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's Fireside Chat, where we delve into how empowering and impactful the innovation empowered by GenAI into business growth perspective. Right? While we do this, and we have our esteemed panelists as well with us, who might get into more of practical applications, predictive analytics, maybe a customer engagement optimization, or maybe some of the productivity gains, how this can be done or achieved in the process. Right? Before we go there, let me share my point of view on this. And if I start, so GenAI, generative artificial intelligence, is anywhere CXO agenda everywhere. Every CXO wants to hear what they can do differently and either achieve a productivity gain or maybe have the increase in profits. Now, if I go by PwC's latest global CEO survey, 68% of CEOs talk about they are going to get employee efficiency this year, and 44% of the CEOs say about they are planning to get increase in profits this year. Now, GenAI use case, what we have seen in multiple sectors, working across, let's say, a finance function, whether to do with a tax or accounting work, getting nuances of the large contract documents, or maybe talk about marketing function to have a contextualization done, or maybe to have a personalization to improve customer experience, to get that customer stickiness. Or we talk about, let's say, a contact center, where the average handling time or maybe the routing of the calls might be improvised. Now, that's where the views on the sectors coming from retail, manufacturing, and finance industry as well. Let us hear what our panelists have to say about this. And let me start with Amol. Amol, what's your perspective on integrating GenAI into the ecosystem? And if you can, 1 minute. While we talk about GenAI, if you can talk about how this can be embedded into the ecosystem, what needs to be there for adoption?
Thank you, Samir. Very good morning to everyone. See, GenAI is a very, very new kid on the block, right? Suddenly came up and growing very fast and a lot of euphoria around it. I would just take a minute to, kind of put structure what is GenAI, AI, and all of that, which means while we represent a very diverse group of industries and businesses. See, AI existed for many years. Almost 70 plus years, AI has been there as a concept. GenAI only gave an opportunity to interact with it. Now, how good that interface is, that time will tell. But there is enough euphoria and interest around it that it is there. It would be very, very, very wrong and even criminal to say that any business not considering AI or GenAI into their strategy or future plans, right? That's definitely there. However, the challenge is that how and where do you apply it? It's not that everything and every one size fits all, right? Two challenges with the GenAI models today is they are very generic, right? However, the life is very specific. It's very contextual, and how do you bring that in? In my view, I see Gen AI applicability from a purely business perspective in three areas. Even it will apply to the individuals. One is in the personal space, which you can call it as an everyday or individual AI, what it is doing for you, or Gen AI. You are seeing some productivity tools, auto mail creation, summarization, documentations, image creations. Those are some of the popular ones which are there. The second category, which is I see, is in operations and business efficiencies to some extent, right? So some of the examples you quoted, Samir, is in terms of contact centers, in terms of reaching better connect with your customers, streamlining some of the business process efficiencies. The third one is the game-changing AI and game-changing Gen AI, where you are literally taking the power of AI, Gen AI, embedding it into your everyday process, products, and creating something transformational, creating something disruptive, which will do it. So those are the three categories in which I see it. The first one is, of course, it's like every few months you have a new technology component, new features keep on coming. The world will adapt to it. Second will give up a step up AI benefits and Gen AI, and third one will be the game changing AI, which will be there. From industries, everybody needs to invest into all three of them. Pick the right bets, right? What matters? What are your biggest problems? We heard in the earlier panel that there is a very focus on solving some critical problems and not shying away from investing into it. So I think that's the approach which is there. You pick your bets, see where you are getting the maximum bang for the buck, and choose those areas to deploy. One thing for sure, I'll just leave with this thought for now, is change management is the biggest driver in this. The world as it is known, it is operating, will not be the same in the AI space and Gen AI space. So even in all these three categories, change management is a very, very critical aspect.
Sure, thank you. And what we heard is from the persona of a consumer of this kind of a technology innovation. Let me go back to Ashish, a distinguished persona, mainly from the using this technology and creating solutions. Ashish, in your journey of development of platforms and IPs, what has been your experience using Gen AI? And if you can throw some light on your digital engineering as well.
Thank you. Uh, Good morning to everybody. My name is Ashish Khushu. I am the Chief Technology Officer for L&T Technology Services. What qualifies me to be here is two things. One is that we have been invested in AI for 8 years now, around 200 patents in all of these, in different areas of AI. And more importantly, because I come from an industry which helps customers create new products, manufacture these products, and also manage the operations. And that's the category Amol just talked of, the second and the third part. We have a view on AI which is not new and not happening today, but for the last 7-8 years. And that view has only got a little bit more consolidated, and it has helped us keep our sanity in this entire hyperbole and hype around AI. So let me just make my points clear here before I come to the specific answer. One is that the dramatic difference that AI brings to the table is not any great new technology that has just erupted suddenly overnight. No, not at all. But what it does is, for once, forcing people to look at the business use cases and then decide which technology has to be applied. So far, that has not been the case in the way we have been adopting technology. Oh, there is cloud, let's adopt cloud. Oh, 5G is come, let's do 5G. Oh, let's do software. Sorry, AI will not get adopted by being pushed by software engineers. That will never, ever happen. It's over. The technology guy, and I come from that community, but the technology guy sitting and driving a bus, it's over. You just can't do it. Like he said, what is it that you're trying to solve? Or why are you trying to solve? Get those people on the discussion table and then tell them, does AI solve a problem? If yes, let's go with it. This is a completely different approach in the way one has to look at adopting AI. So that is point one. Point two is that it is not an umbrella term that let's do AI and GenAI and LLMs and we'll solve the world hunger. No, it'll not happen that way. So one has to slice and dice AI a little bit more carefully because of two or three reasons. One is that this technology is mature and it is very, very effective. We've seen it. We've had production deployments where we have seen product design life cycles being dramatically reduced, efficiencies being dramatically coming out, costs being saved, jobs are not going anywhere. So there is a huge impact it can make. But it is not an umbrella term. And the third more important thing is this fear of missing out, the FOMO thing that is happening all around the world. And I'm glad that it is sort of settling down now. Yesterday or day before, there was a news item which said everybody's in the... But that's a fact. There is a change management, like he said, and there ought to be a rethink. And the rethink is, do you have your internal systems, workflows, and data in the right place, in the right manner for you to apply some of these technologies? That is what is going to come to the foremost. So going forward, our experience has been exactly this. A large number of customers started with this huge hype and CEOs, etc., etc. Once you go through this cycle, you realize, look, AI is not a problem. There are many other workflow-related issues, use case-related issues, serious interventions-related issues that you have to figure out and then go step by step over a period of time. It's not going to kill mankind. It's not going to cause the type of huge damage in jobs, etc. I mean, that's happening for so many years. But it is a very mature and a very, very effective technology, which we have seen in practical over the last 8 years. It depends not on the technology guys, it depends on the domain guys, it depends upon the use cases, it depends upon a very intelligent understanding of what to apply where. Otherwise, you can use a sledgehammer to kill a mosquito. You won't be able to kill a mosquito and you'll only be left handling a sledgehammer. That's exactly what AI can do to you. So that's really where we stand from an AI perspective, and not to get overawed by AI. In a connected world, when you have data, what are you going to do with that data? Use intelligence. But the world was not connected 20 years back, so there was no connected data. So there was no AI coming into that picture. So it's just an incremental adoption of technologies as the world gets connected, produces more data, and you need more intelligence in managing that data. So just look at it that way is our approach, and life becomes simpler. Is that okay?
Oh no, of course. So that's a different perspective as well, right? I mean, we heard about change management, we talk about use cases and the ecosystem. Let me come back to Hitesh. Hitesh, coming from the BFSI sector, what has been your experience when you talk about the startup engagement into a banking ecosystem? And if you can talk about any successful use cases regarding GenAI, and that's all.
Sure. So again, let me demystify, lot of, uh, you know, uh, the hype or, the uprise about, GenAI, right? I mean, so uh, fundamentally, the questions being asked is that, is India going to create its own LLM, right? And there are many attempts which are being made, right, where people are coming with Bharat GPT or trying to create their own LLMs, right? So our take is that, you know, uh, one way is to kind of create our own LLM, or second way is also to use the open source LLMs which are available, fine tune it, do prompt engineering, do RAG on it, and then focus more on use cases, right? I think the point which Ashish made, it is domain guys, which will drive, right, the next level of use cases and innovation. So uh, if one is clear in terms of what one wants, right? So with Gen AI and traditional AI, if I want to draw a comparison, uh, content creation or communication, Gen AI has a superior edge. When it comes to predictability, right, or predictive models, I think traditional AI is which we all are using it for so many years, right? So uh, in our parlance, we kind of figured out that there are many use cases in banking which we are trying to work with a lot of startups, and then implement those. So uh, a few of them are like creating internal communication layers, right, and more intelligent communication layers, right? So today your employees have many questions, right, and simple chatbots which you have created are rule based. They are not able to identify the intent, and it's also about the data which is being feeded to it the train on the data which is feeded to it. So I think there are two aspects to it. One is your own internal data, and second is the external data. Now you want a holistic answer, you need both. You cannot work only on your internal data and then train it, right? So the way we look at it is that from the architecture perspective, how do you create a combination of internal and external data, and then create a prompt engineering layer right on top of it, basis the use cases. And also one needs to be mindful that there are multiple LLMs which exist today, and there will be many more which will evolve as we move forward, right? I mean, and there will be LLMs, there will be LAMs, it will keep evolving. So strategy should be also to create layers which are agnostic of LLMs, right? Can you use a particular LLM for a particular use case and a different LLM for another use case, right? So you also need to design your architecture in a manner that it allows you to flip flop from one LLM to the another LLM, right? Like we have a multi-cloud strategy. One needs to also adopt a multi-LLM strategy. And so one is use case on, as I mentioned, is a lot of on the internal communication training of employees. The other use case is also creating a lot of reports or research reports, right? For example, on the customer side of it, when they need information, right, again falling into the category of communication. Then your use cases on content creation, where all your marketing stuff can be automated, right? And without use of external agencies, can you automate it? Many of them. And then the some of the use cases are, can you uh, you know as a bank, can you create appraisals or credit notes, credit appraisal notes, automated credit appraisal notes, which is again a combination of internal and external data, which can actually be done effectively using Gen AI models, right? So these are the couple of use cases we are toggling around, and again you know working with multiple sets of startups to do it.
Thanks. I think taking a clue from all the things we heard, it's more about using technology, but then to have any kind of a transformation, we always look at three factors, saying people, process, and technology. When you combine these three, that's where the transformation or the innovation comes in, right? Not about only the technology usage. Having the same message, Amol, if I can ask you, you would deal with multiple sectors of life science, uh, agriculture, tire, and multiple sectors as well. What has been your experience if successfully deploying any kind of use cases, and the contextualization when we talk about generic, right, change management? How is this contextualization happens within the different sectors of business?
Thank you, Samir. So I think very interesting point made by Hitesh is about the multi-cloud strategy, so multi-LLM strategy, right? Uh, while we do not see it in action as much, it exists, you know, or if it is, it will come to exist in better shape and form over a period of time, because we are facing challenges in terms of non-suitability, non-adaptability of the existing LLM models which are there. Given a very diverse range of industries what we deal into, Samir, so our approach is basically threefold. Okay, so one is about the in general productivity. We take a view that every employee needs to be AI or these technologies savvy, Gen AI technologies savvy. Just you know, I'm taking the point further that domain people need to drive the transformation. How will they drive the transformation if they don't understand the technology? So that's one of the very important aspects. So kind of democratizing it to give an access to individual users to touch, feel, and create. So there are elements of summarization, contextualization of documents, uh, even in terms of collaboration, content creation for marketing collaterals, customer engagement, customer communication. So these are some of the areas. The other focus area for us is information and knowledge harvesting. Given the nature of most of our businesses, what we had done in the last project is very important for the next one and the next one. So at any point in time, how do I quickly get the wisdom, learnings, experiences from my earlier programs, and how do we build in? So those are the areas where we find that generative AI is helping and has some promising opportunities in those space. And third is going in terms of the overall game changing AI, where we are looking at using it for a very specific purpose. Uh, Not much success, to be very candid. These are very early days, but we have identified 3 to 4 specific areas where we would like to deploy GenAI models, try to create some kind of a methodology and solution which will uh, help create a disruptive solutions, processes, or opportunities for us in the industries in which we deal with. Uh, while we say all this, again, highlighting the change management part, people need to be trained. People need to know how to do it. We all learned migrated ourselves from a very fixated telephone device to feature phone to smartphones, and it's life now, right? But there is this kind of a progression that if these tools are coming in, where do I use it and where I don't use it, right? The other aspect of it in the whole process is, what do you see? Do you trust it? Whatever is coming along your way, right? Uh, if I am using a LLM solution or a generative AI solution, how much reliable it is that there is a problem statement at hand and this solution is solving it, do I just grab it? But there is a due diligence which is required, of understanding of what it does and what it can potentially do damage is also very important, because if you have seen in the industry when GenAI came in, there were very quick deployments of customer communications, and at the rate at which it peaked, at the same rate it declined, because it started giving some weird responses. So the RAG component which is there in this whole GenAI solution deployment is very, very critical, right? Understanding intent is basically, it's like a child growing, how, as we say in Hindi, bacha samajhdar kitna hai. I think we are at that level to understand how these technological solutions are having that samaj, so that you can trust, rely, and build onto it.
Sure. No, that's a good insight. Now, taking the clue of, while we talk about the deployment and maybe we heard use cases as well where it is helping to either have a productivity gain or maybe help in generation. When we talk about the scale, and that's where the a guardrail or maybe a regulation comes into place. Ashish, I would want to come back to you and understand. We have talked about in India DPDP Act, and when you talk about this standardization, guardrail, the governance, while we talk about the revenue growth? What are these considerations while we actually deploy the use cases?
So that's a really, that's many nuances to it, but let me see if I can. I'll just pick up the 2 points that they mentioned and then sort of build on this. I think first of all, we have to decide what quadrant we want to play in. Are you wanting to be a technology guy implementing AI, or are you going to be a consumer of AI? Both of them are not going to be possible. I know I'm saying this very strongly, but yes, it is not going to be possible. Let me give you an example. We used an LLM in November of 2020. Yeah, just before COVID. November of 2019 or 20, it was, yes, I think then. And since then, today, there is such a huge evolution in large language models, small language models, dense nets, that I have a team of 3 people and I spend a lot of time every week benchmarking large language models to figure out which one is good for which particular task. Which means that if I have to do like a use case that they're talking of summarization, preparing a summary report, no, there will not be one large language model. There could be 8, 9 large language models. Now, is that your job? Is that what you're supposed to be doing? Benchmarking all the time, all the time? No, you can't do it. And that's not what you're supposed to be doing. When will you end? Second is that when you take a large language model, you then optimize it to run it on your watch, on your camera, on any sensor. Today, we've built a large language model and we have ported it on an intelligent light. So the technology nuances are so very highly deep in this area that you need to figure out what quadrant you want to play. So if I come from a technology perspective and then I look at the guardrails that I have to look at, infringement, open source data, large language models, what to do, how to ensure that I'm not creating hallucinations. As he said, the right accuracies are there. I'm not infringing on anybody's IP. I'm training it with the right manner. If I use a large language model on open source and they have used somebody else's data to train that model, I don't even know what type of issues I will have. So there is a very different perspective of guardrails when it comes from a technology perspective. And when it comes from a use case perspective, then it's fairly simple. I want this use case. These are the type of large language models or non-large language models that I would like to use. And therefore, this is the type of security boundaries within which I would like to move. Now, completely different perspective. Now, what is complicating this whole thing is the specifications of EU and US. If you dive deeper into the specifications that EU and US have released on the usage of AI, which has just happened a month or 2 months back, you would have read a news article of Apple getting impacted by it. That's damning. That's really humongously investment friendly in the sense you have to spend a lot of money there. So when you're looking at guardrails and from a governance perspective, and as he rightly said, he said it, I've said it, it will take some time. Maybe serious production will start happening in 12, 18 months from now. But no longer do I see people not talking of AI governance when you are going to talk production. That was not the case till 6 months back. When we've deployed AI, we've never talked governance. So AI governance is going to be a very, very important topic. You have no clue what is the type of litigation you can go through if you're using somebody else's IP. Your net worth could be wiped out. So it will be on the table. It will be more important than just AI technologies. And that will start happening maybe in 9 to 12 months from now when people are looking at serious deployment. But his perspective will be different than my perspective from a technology perspective and a use case perspective. So I think a highly nuanced topic.
Of course. So that definitely have a different sense from the perspective what we bring up on the table. I'll just take maybe as Hitesh last one question, and if you just can talk about what are the emerging trends do you see from the future prospects of GenAI? If you can just talk about 2 minutes, then maybe.
Yeah. So I think we all see it's what's happening with Nvidia, right? I mean, it's kind of one of the most probably most valued or the largest, I would say a company which has attracted a lot of this, you know, attention, and all on the hardware side of it, right? So I think now the foundational technology is laid down, right? So for example, a lot of things came into being after internet, right? And a lot of things got built on internet, right? If you say Google, it got built on internet, right? And you know so for Gen AI, the foundational technology is getting built, and a lot of things have been built, right? So now is the turn in terms of what use cases you drive on this foundational technology. That would be another revolution, which will drive the next level of opportunities and growth, right? So again, today, when I communicate or when I ask Google about what I want, it comes with multiple answers, right? I mean, it gives me multiple choices, and it is again very scattered, right? I mean, but with Gen AI, I have been able to consolidate all the Lego box. It is able to understand my intent and gives me a specific answer to what I want, right? So I think what foundational work has been done, uh, the, more and more use cases will keep evolving, and you know there are two sets of opportunities which are there. One is, can you improve on foundational models, right, which requires billions of dollars of investment. uh, but other smart way of working is that whatever foundation level models have been built, right, can you use those models and top of it create layers of prompt engineering, create use cases, fine tune it, and then offer it to your customers, right? So my sense is that the way lot of you know innovations happened on internet, right? A lot of models got built in, a lot of innovations happened on internet. Similarly, on the Gen AI side, a lot of innovations will happen on the foundation which is built, and we will see a next level of revolution coming out in multi industries, multi use cases. So that's my take.
Thank you. I see why thumbs up. I would have loved to take one or two questions from the audience, but maybe we can keep it for the later. Let me conclude and have a summary on the panel. Uh, we have heard multiple things on the change management, the domain, the use cases, guardrails, some of the successful use cases as well. What I would say as a journey forward, it would be always human-led, tech-powered through GenAI. Thank you. Thank you, panelists.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.